Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first visit to my channel, I'm Mrs. H. I'm a middle school English teacher and I post free homework help for grades 6 through 10. I hope you guys are all having a healthy and safe summer so far. This summer, I've been taking a film class online. So this video is not actually meant to help you with your homework. It is actually my homework that I'm submitting for a grade in a film class. Last spring, when we all suddenly went online, you had to be an online student, I was an online teacher, I was thrown for a loop because never in my life had I taken an online class. And the best I could do was imagine what you were going through and doing my best to attend to that. Now I have taken an online class, so I know what it's like from the student perspective. I've also taken an online film class, which is really going to help in my theater arts electives and in my survey of the arts electives. So if you guys signed up for those classes, I'm really excited to share with you what I've been learning this summer. And now that I've taken an online class, I feel even more prepared for the distance learning model we're going to have to use in August when we reopen school. For this project, I had to become an expert on a genre of films. For my younger viewers who think genre sounds like a fancy word, the term genre means a class or category of books, movies, types of art. And some genre words you might recognize around movies would be action or action films, films in the action genre, science fiction, comedy. For this movie, I decided to study movies that are about food and cooking and cuisine, hence why I'm filming in my kitchen for some mise-en-scène. I watched 4 feature-length films that center around cuisine, and I found 4 genre conventions to be true in all 4 of these films. Another word that you might need help with is convention. A convention is an expectation, a pattern, could be a cliche that you would expect a movie in a certain genre to conform to. For example, in an action movie, you could always expect that there's going to be a chase scene and some explosions. Before I share the food movie genre conventions I discovered, let me share with you a quick synopsis of each of those movies. That way, when I refer back to them, you'll understand them a little bit better. Warning, there will be some spoiler alerts about what happens in these movies. The first movie I watched was Soul Food, rated R, a story about a black family with Southern roots living in Chicago. Like any family, there's tension and sore family history, but the weekly tradition that keeps them close is Sunday dinner at Big Mama's house, gathering to enjoy homemade soul food. The story is narrated by Ahmad, the 11-year-old grandson of Big Mama. When Big Mama falls into a coma, the earlier established tension between her 3 daughters erupts into a complete breakdown of family ties and traditions, solidified by Big Mama's passing. The chance of Sunday dinners happening again seemed to get buried with Big Mama. The 100-Foot Journey is rated PG. The Kadam family moves into a French town and opens an Indian restaurant across the street 100 feet from Madame Mallory's Michelin-starred French restaurant. Michelin stars are like a big giant A+ in the culinary world, and they are the best insurance policy against a nasty Yelp review. A rivalry between the restaurants ensue as they compete for market supplies and diners. The young chef Hassan has no formal French culinary training, but self-trains in French cuisine and wows Madame Mallory into hiring him, beginning the mending process between the 2 restaurants, but introducing a new set of conflicts. His skills continue to improve, and he rises through the ranks, eventually moving to Paris, leaving behind his family, the 2 restaurants, and Marguerite, who is his competitor and love interest. Tortilla Soup is rated PG-13. It centers around a professional chef and widower named Martin Naranjo. He has 3 adult daughters, Leticia, Carmen, who were born in Mexico, and Maribel, the youngest, who was born in the United States. This is an important aspect of how the 3 daughters relate to each other and to their father, as there are clear generational and cultural differences in their senses of duty to family and how that conflicts with their desire for independence. The plot follows all 4 members of the Naranjo family on their pursuits of happiness. If this plot sounds familiar, that's because it was based on a 1994 film, Eat, Drink, Man, Woman. My favorite of the 4 films, Chef, rated R, focuses on the renowned chef Karl Casper. Karl Casper is a highly successful and creative chef that has some clear character flaws. He is hot-headed and stubborn, and he doesn't prioritize his relationship with his 10-year-old son, Percy. Karl experiences a major fall from grace after a bad review of his cooking erupts in a Twitter war, and his fiery in-person confrontation with the reviewer is captured on many iPhones and goes viral on the internet. The 4 genre conventions I found to be true in all 4 of these movies are: first, all of them have a food preparation montage. Second, there is an exploration of the parent-child relationship. Third, there's this clear conflict between this idea of cooking from the heart versus conforming to the establishment. And last, all of these movies have a happy ending. Let's talk about the very first food movie convention I noticed in all of these movies. They all have a food preparation montage. All of these movies have at least one. In The 100-Foot Journey, Chef and Tortilla Soup, all of their opening scenes involve food preparation being featured. Soul Food is the only one that sort of subverts this genre, but there is still food involved in the opening scene at a large family wedding. And then within those first 10 or so minutes of the movie, probably what we could consider the second scene of the movie, they showcase Sunday dinners, and they show Mama and her daughters in the kitchen preparing Sunday dinner, and that is your food montage there. In A 100-Foot Journey, Hassan is talking to a customs agent to get into the European Union, but what happens is we follow his descriptions in sort of flashback form to his family's restaurant in Mumbai, where his culinary training happens under his mother's supervision, and we see a lot of food preparation in that opening scene. Now, the reason for including a food prep montage early in a movie is because immediately we know that the movie is going to center around food. We also can take a look at the ingredients and the way that they're being prepared to take in certain clues about, more specifically, what are these movies going to be about. For example, in Tortilla Soup, the opening scene features Martin Naranjo cooking with cacti, avocados, peppers, tortillas, and banana leaves, suggesting that his specialty is Mexican food. We do learn that he and his family are from Mexico, and the expectations of his Mexican heritage and how that conflicts with his daughter's American lifestyles is a major conflict in the movie, hinted by the opening food prep montage. Chef Karl Casper is working with a variety of ingredients in his restaurant kitchen, and it appears to be an artistic fusion of different types of ingredients with no clear heritage or culture that he's aiming for. These are cooking styles from around the globe, and this suggests that his skills cover a wide breadth of cooking styles. These ingredients suggest a mastery of various cooking styles and a high level of creativity, which sets him up to have his skills later stifled by the owner of his restaurant. Another major function of a food preparation montage in a movie, especially early on, is it's kind of a bond building with the audience. I mean, we build a strong bond with our parents and our caregivers by watching them prepare food for us and put food in front of us as a gesture of nourishment and care. And so by putting these montages in early in the movie, we build that bond with these chef characters. Also, it builds an appreciation for the skills. We get to see them doing knife work, sauteing, flambeing, all of these skills that take a long time to develop, and we adore them early in the movie. Then it becomes an anchor for our feelings of adoration because Later in the movie, we're going to learn about their character flaws and life mistakes, but we're going to need something that makes us not turn against them midway through the movie, that keeps us rooting for them. And seeing their skills in the kitchen is one of the things that can anchor that in place for us. The next major convention that you'll find in various food movies is this exploration of the parent-child relationship. For example, in Soul Food, Big Mama is the matriarch around whom the family revolves, and she has a special connection with everyone, even if her daughters are all very different from each other. Soul Food is also an exploration of the grandparent to the grandchild relationship and the special sweetness that contains, which a parent-child relationship won't quite ever achieve. Tortilla Soup, the movie is all about the relationship between a father and his 3 daughters and the different paths all 4 of them are on. Now that the father is not in a position to parent his grown-up kids, they are all trying to figure out what their roles are in each other's lives now that they are all adults. In The 100-Foot Journey, Hassan has a special gift for cooking, but his father wants him to stay in the Maison Mumbai restaurant and cook. When Hassan goes off to Paris, the father has a hard time coping with his son's accomplishments, feeling as though his son is abandoning his duty to family and culture. Lastly, in Chef, though the main conflict of the plot seems to be about Chef Carl finding his new success in the culinary industry, the movie is just as much about Carl and his son, Percy. Percy seeks acceptance from his father and wishes to be a part of Carl's life, but Carl has his shields up around Percy, always late to pick him up, postponing promises, and not allowing him to help in the kitchen. When Chef finally allows Percy to immerse himself in the world of cooking by letting him tag along on a road trip with his new business venture, a food truck of all things, their bond grows. Percy is also partially responsible for his father's success, as Percy's next-gen abilities to use the internet in a positive way and post about the food truck is what gathers attention for the new business. I also enjoyed this commentary, this is a total side note, about the toxic way adults of today are using the internet in comparison to the possibilities of what the next generation of internet users can do. The reason why food movies constantly explore the parent-child relationship is because of the responsibility of the next generation to carry that knowledge forward from generation to generation. It is their duty to teach the next generation this culinary knowledge. Food inspires memories. It also speaks to how values, even food itself, can change from one gen to the next. But in a lot of cases, food can be the very thing that pulls multiple generations together, because what tastes good will always taste good. Maybe the way that we prepare it might change with changing technology, changing values, but it is the thing that brings us all together. Food is a major character in the story of how generations relate to each other and pass down knowledge, values, and traditions. The third genre convention I found to be true in all 4 of these movies is the conflict between cooking from the heart versus conforming to the establishment. The best example of these movies is The 100-Foot Journey. Madame Mallory's and the Michelin board represent the establishment, the codes, the formalizations, and Hassan and his family's restaurant food cooking culture offer an anti-establishment option to diners. In Chef, the food critic represents the establishment, and so does the restaurant Carl works for in the beginning by dictating what he must prepare for diners and judging him. Carl himself is actually a member of that establishment until his internet broadcasted meltdown gets him cast out. In the beginning of the movie, Carl scoffs at the idea of an anti-establishment food truck, but then he joins the rising trend of food truck cuisine and cooks from the heart. Soul Food is another great example of cooking from the heart versus the establishment. It's established early in the movie when one of the daughters asks Big Mama, "What measurement do I use when creating this food?" And Big Mama replies that there is no formal recipe. She just knows by instinct how much to put in. This is the essence of cooking from the heart. Big Mama is not a professional chef like in the other movies, and that's the point. the whole idea of soul food is that these are Southern food recipes passed down through generations of African Americans who were not allowed to be part of the American establishment. Even just the title of the movie brings in the ever-present conflict between cooking from the heart and conforming to the expectations of the establishment. Tortilla soup offers an interesting take on the heart versus the establishment convention, and that is because the focus of this conflict is not truly in the food of the movie. It works in a little bit, but really in this movie, Dad, Martin Naranjo, is the establishment, and he is the trained chef who is stifling his daughter's abilities to follow their hearts. In particular, his daughter Carmen wishes to be a chef just like him and serve fusion Latino dishes, but he pushes her away from the life in the kitchen and emphasizes the rules of traditional Mexican cooking. The reason for the tug of war between cooking from the heart versus the establishment in these food movies is because food is representation. Every culture around the world has a food to represent it. Food carries history, stories, culture, heritage, traditions, and knowledge. It is a way for us to gain ancestral knowledge that's very different from looking at a photo or reading a passage out of a history book. Food preparation itself has established traditions and expectations. Cuisine has been codified in formal textbooks, but cuisine can also adapt and evolve with each generation, or when a set of people move from one place to another and brings their food with them. Food is both the establishment and the challenge to that establishment. The last food movie convention I'm going to talk about in this video, spoiler alert, is that they all have happy endings, mere fairy tale endings. In Soul Food, the young Ahmad finds a way to reunite his feuding family members and reestablish Sunday dinners together. In Tortilla Soup, the movie concludes happily with the scene of a big family meal at Martin's old restaurant, but now his daughter Carmen is the head chef, and his other two daughters have happily found their own paths. Martin has even gotten remarried and has a new baby on the way. At the end of Chef, the reviewer who started the Twitter war makes amends and offers to back Chef Carl in opening a restaurant, allowing him to cook whatever he wants. Even happier, Carl remarries his ex-wife, and Percy's family is reunited. In the 100-Foot Journey, the rival restaurants make amends, and in the end, Hassan returns from Paris to the little French town that gave him his start and holds a stake in Madame Mallory's restaurant. His father is happy that he has returned home, and also, Hassan and Marguerite seem to be on the path to couplehood. The reason for all of these movies having happy endings is it promotes the message of great food makes everything better. Food is all about hospitality, bringing people together, warming their hearts, making them feel at ease. So with these sorts of messages and movies about great foods, how could these movies not have happy endings? These 4 conventions might not apply to every single food movie that you watch, but I think there's enough of a pattern here to say that these are food movie conventions. A couple of other food movies that I really wanted to watch but didn't get a chance to yet are Julie and Julia, Big Night, Chocolat, Eat, Drink, Man, Woman, Babette's Feast, Ratatouille, The Joy Luck Club, No Reservations, and Burnt. If you've seen any of these movies and can say how did some of them relate to some of these food conventions that I mentioned in this video, please comment below. You are also welcome to comment below with any other food conventions that you can think of. I certainly took a lot of notes and would like to see if those of you guys out there can confirm any of the notes I took that didn't make it into this video. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. I hope you have a great rest of your summer and good luck in the upcoming school year. Bye guys.